Hi everybody, I'm Alex. I'm a meteorologist and a gardener with a passion for bringing tropical plants to New York. I've been doing this my whole entire life. You may have seen some of the videos at my parents' house over the summertime on Staten Island, which is just covered in all of my childhood plants. If you're interested in easy tropical plants that are going to survive for many, many years, this is the video for you because my mom actually takes care of most of these plants. I just bring them outside during the summertime, help repot things and organize everything. But she's doing all of the watering. So I'm going to give you a little tour of how things are looking right now. What's in bloom in February? You might be surprised to see so much tropical color. So let's take a look. So I've had these for many, many years now. They are totally pest-free. I have no pests inside this house. That's the nice thing about having a collection that you just sort of maintain and you don't really add to. At my parents' house, I don't add any extra plants. So if they don't have pests on them now, they don't have pests during the summertime, and they don't have pests when they come back in. Now, of course, I sometimes get some gnats and ants and things like that, but I'm not talking about serious infestations on any of these plants. I don't get spider mites or scale or anything anymore. I used to, but those plants are either gone and I got rid of them or I treated them. So that's kind of a secret to success. A lot of times pests will be the biggest problem. Also skylights, really helpful because these plants are getting tons and tons of sunlight. So, and it's at the top of a crown. So this is an Odondola palm doing really well with all of that sunlight. And this is a bottle palm. Now again, my mom's busy, she works full time, maybe doesn't get around to watering these plants all the time. So you do get these brown edges on leaves like this, usually underwatering, and that does happen occasionally. And it's not her fault, to be honest. Firstly, I'm so grateful that she even takes care of these plants to begin with. But second of all, they're very overgrown, so it's really easy for these plants to dry out. So if you're not watering them every 3 days or so, then they're starting to dry out. So that's a lot of work. And sometimes she'll water them once every week or so, maybe once every 2 weeks sometimes if it's really busy. But these plants are old and they're forgiving. So that's the nice thing about having plants for a long time. Even my pesky, finicky fiddle leaf fig. Got this plant for $4.99. It was on the discount rack and it was basically dead. I don't even think it had any leaves on it when I bought it many years ago, but it's doing well now. Also a Home Depot purchase was this really cheap cordyline. This is, of course, a Hawaiian tea plant, but the specific name is Pink Diamond, and I'm really, really just obsessed with how vigorous it is. I love the color, nice giant green leaves, but then also the pinks, the whites in it. It's just really cool. And look at that slender trunk. Isn't that cool? Just an awesome, awesome plant. You might be wondering, why there's cardboard boxes and why there's, donkey fencing. Culprit. There she is. She knows her name. Lenny. My sister's doggy, and she lives here, and we need to keep her away from the plants because she loves plants, don't you? Oh, you love plants so much. She loves eating the plants. Check out the trunk on this bottle palm. It has just been so impressive. I got this in 2014, so it's 12 years old now. It was pretty small when I got it, but obviously not the case anymore. This is a crown shaft palm, so it has this really beautiful leaf sheathing on the top of the trunk. So that's the crown shaft, and I think it adds such a tropical vibe, especially the ringed trunk. When I was a kid, I never thought I was going to grow a palm tree with a ringed trunk. And I mean, honestly, never ceases to amaze me that I've had this for so many years. I'm literally not even showing you the leaves because I love the trunk so much. Some people said, oh, your rubber tree is going to drop all the leaves when it goes inside the house for the winter. But it doesn't, because here's the thing. These plants have been going in and out for a decade now. They are so adjusted. You don't realize that after a while, when plants are, used to their environment, they're really, really acclimated. They're very forgiving. Let's move into the formal dining room. In my house, the dining room table's gone, but here it's still there. It's just the windows of the dining room that are covered in plants. We have another cordyline pink diamond plant. This is my little hibiscus corner. Again, hard to keep up with the watering. These plants are really overgrown, so you're seeing loss in the leaves here because of underwatering, and that's okay. It's gonna pop back. It does every single year. It drops all its leaves, and then it comes back. So that's just a combination. Underwatering can cause this later in the winter months, and then in the early winter, when it first comes inside, usually the leaf drop is just because it's acclimating to new settings. So this hibiscus has actually dropped its leaves twice since it's been inside the house. When it first went in the house, and then it dropped the rest of them just now because it needed some extra water. But you know what doesn't need water? Aloe vera. Maybe you can water this plant once a month and it'll be happy enough. And this plant is so happy that it's actually covered in really awesome flowers. During the summertime, the hummingbirds love these flowers, but usually it only blooms in the winter. In California, if you grow these plants, Florida as well, really, really great climate for aloe plants. They bloom during the cooler months of the year, and it is definitely taking a note. Shorter days are triggering these beautiful flowers to open up, but I do sometimes get a second bloom when it goes back out in May or June. So I'm at least enjoying the flowers now, but there's a possibility I might be enjoying them again in a couple of months. And speaking of flowers that I enjoy, this hibiscus has been on and off blooming all winter long. I actually love when we get snow cover because this window is just even brighter on a sunny day when it's reflecting off of the snow. This is a southwest facing window, so it's gonna get absolutely bathed in light when we hit about noontime to about 4 o'clock in the evening. So about 4 hours of direct sunlight. That's pretty good for indoor plants. I mean, the sun is just beating on these. The pineapple plant here, really happy too, and that's something that you can't easily underwater. They don't really mind a little lack of water. And this pineapple, by the way, I grew from a pineapple top. This is like, I don't know, it's like 10 years old, but it's so neglected it hasn't ever made any fruit yet. And of course, pineapples only fruit once in their life, and then they produce babies because the mother plant will die after it's done fruiting because the fruit comes from where the center of the leaves are. So it's a one and done kind of plant, but then you have all the babies. So you get a really nice clump after a while. Okay. Flipping the camera around to show you Plumeria Corner and why this area is covered in Plumeras. Look at all of these Plumeria. They just look like sticks right now, and that's kind of the intention. I used to actually deliberately take all of the leaves off when I brought it inside the house for the winter to sort of force it to go dormant. If you've ever been to a dry winter climate in the tropics, like much of Hawaii really dries out in the winter time on the dry side of the island. Plumeras drop their leaves. Unless they're irrigated with water, they're going to drop their leaves. And that is how they protect themselves from drought. But you do see that it has been trying to bloom inside the house because my mom kind of waters this when she waters all the other plants. So it's actually getting a little more water than they really need inside the house. So now we're getting some flowers. This is Plumeria divine, which is a dwarf variety, and it really does bloom spectacularly. I get flowers really on and off in the winter and in the summertime, and stays really nice and small. So I have this one blooming, but then I have another Plumeria divine. Look at all the beautiful flowers. These flowers usually aren't white, but inside the house when they're not exposed to heat or sunlight, they're just yellow and white, and they're actually a little bit bigger. But during the summertime, they have this nice little like pinkish reddish tinge to it, and sometimes the flowers are smaller. And so they really look totally different when they're in full sun. Plumeras will drastically change the color of their flowers based on the temperature outside. So if you're growing one of these plants and you're not impressed with the color, a lot of times that color's kind of muted when it's not getting sunlight. And interestingly enough, sometimes the color is enhanced during colder days. I noticed in the fall, a lot of my kind of pinkish flowers will be really tiny and really pink on a cooler day like in October when they're just about ready to go inside. So anyway, yeah, my Plumerias, they usually are done, and totally bare this time of the year. But these have a little bit of life in them and plenty of blooms. I tried to keep them from blooming inside the house and from growing inside the house because those are really susceptible to spider mites, and also the growth isn't going to be as strong inside the house. So if I can keep them dormant, until spring and really let that flush of growth come when it's warm and sunny outside, it's going to grow so much healthier. So I like to wait until they go back outside. So speaking of going back outside, firstly, giant Plumeria. Talk about the elephant in the room. This thing's as big as an elephant. It's huge. It's like up to the second story of the house. This one has been getting a lot less water this year. Last year, my mom watered it a lot, and it was covered in flowers inside the house, which is awesome. Like, honestly, like, you know, take your pick. Do you want lots of flowers inside the house or outside? You can't go wrong either way. It's gonna give you lots of flowers at some point. So when do the plants go back outside? What a good question. Well, depends on the plant. All of these tropical plants inside the house, I don't rush it anymore. I used to bring them out as soon as possible to acclimate them to the outdoors, and I wouldn't mind if they had like a morning that was 40 degrees. 40 degrees, if it's getting into like the 60s during the daytime, is fine for most of these tropical plants. But now I wait a little bit. But of course, I always say, make sure full shade, full shade. This countertop has sun right now. That sun is nowhere near as strong inside the house as it is outside. Your plants are not going to be used to sunlight. Oh, and speaking of lack of sunlight, let me show you the garage. I have some plants in there that haven't seen the sun in a month now. Garage is really used entirely for storage, so it is a little messy in here right now. We've got a lot of stuff we're storing, including plants. So I am part of the reason why it's messy. This is a Chamaedorea microspati. It's not looking super great right now. Little lack of water for sure. But it'll pop up. It'll do good. This is a very cold tolerant, although it looks tropical, a very cold tolerant palm. It's just a little dry, the soil. I'm going to give it a little more water too, even though I just watered it today. This is a huge yucca, and it's called Yucca gigantea. This is just a little offset. The actual top of the plant is kind of like held diagonally so that way it doesn't hit the top of the garage. And you can see that, you know, all these plants are actually still pretty lush and green. We have a cabbage tree. This will lose some of its leaves and then it comes back beautifully. Most of these plants are frost tolerant. I have a windmill palm here. I have some cordyline plants in here, and really it doesn't get any light. It just gets a little bit of light from the garage door. It stays nice and cold in here. I have some camellias. I have camellias outside as well, but this potted one goes inside the garage. I have a bay leaf plant in here. I have a frost-proof gardenia. Of course, all of these are in containers. I have some Mediterranean fan palms. I have a oleander in here. I have my bananas in here. So this is my winter storage spot. The garage stays cold, maybe like somewhere between 50 to 55-ish, which is about 10 Celsius, all winter long. And the reason why it's nice to have these in here is that if we get a mild winter day, which we have not this winter, but most winters we actually do get some milder days, and I just open up the garage door, take them outside, and give them a little bit of sunlight. So the plants inside here are all subtropical. They can handle some frost, they can handle some freezes. I keep my bulbs, my cannas, my ginger in here. Of course, like I mentioned, the bananas, but also the elephant ears too, all stay in here. And so these plants, although they can handle a frost, I'm keeping the, you know, the cannas, the bananas, all of that inside here until the last frost of the season, which is usually mid-April. Mid-April, those will go outside. But these more hardy shrubs and subtropicals, they're going to start going back out in March full time, because as long as the evening time temperatures aren't dropping significantly below like freezing, like if you get down to like 27, I'll probably bring them back into the garage. But if it's like hanging out around 30 for a few hours, these plants are fine and they can handle it. So I have like some kind of borderline plants. They're too tropical to really stay outside all winter long, but they don't have to be inside the house. And so that's how I save up on some space, and it stays nice and acclimated too. They're in sync with our seasons. So they're going to flush with growth at the right time of the year. If I brought a camellia inside the house, it would start flowering, you know, in the middle of winter, and then they would have all that new tender growth that would be really weak when it goes back outside in the spring. So that's kind of, I'm hoping, the message of this video is that when you're bringing plants inside the house, you still want to keep it in sync with the seasons if you can, especially those plants that flush with growth, like plumerias, like camellias, for example, if you're keeping those as houseplants, which we don't have to in our climate, but if you're colder than a zone 7, you might. Well, those plants, you want to make sure that you're acclimating. Okay, before I go, we got to figure out why Lenny's barking. Why were you barking, Len? Lenny, why were you barking? She doesn't speak English yet, but we're training her. All right, with that, I am on dog duty, and I will leave you all be. Bye. Go get it, Lenny. Woo! Lenny!